Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to make a core word board in Google Docs. So let's go ahead and get started. So the beauty of Google Docs is that it's accessible to everyone. So this is a great platform to make a core board with. So unless you're an SLP or an OT or someone that's familiar with core boards, this might be a new concept for you. So this is a core board that I created in Google Docs. This is what I'll be showing you how to make. So core boards are for individuals that need another system to help them communicate. So this might be children who are learning language, they're early language learners. This could be for children with autism, Down syndrome, other disabilities that while they may have some language, they may have some way to communicate. This just helps them to communicate better and gives them another option to communicate. This can also be used for individuals with a tracheostomy. So maybe they were a smoker, maybe they had some physiology that wasn't functioning properly. So they might not have the ability to use their voice, but they can still have a way to communicate. So this is an example of AAC, or augmentative and alternative communication. So this is a low-tech version. So what's nice about this too is that once you make this, you can print it, you can share it with anyone. And as long as you have a printer, you're good to go. You don't need a special device to use this type of core board. So we'll be making one that's similar to this today. So I have a fresh new Google Doc open for us. So what you're going to do to start off, you're going to click the Insert button. You're going to move down to Drawing, and then you're going to select New. So this new window is going to open. So you're still within Google Docs, but this is a new window to allow you to create some things that we're going to put on our core board that you aren't necessarily able to do straight in Docs. So the first thing we're going to do is create these squares that you see here. So to do that, you're going to click on the Shape button. It's the circle and the square together. Select Shapes, and then select the rectangle. Now you could do whatever shapes you wanted. Traditionally, for core boards, the shape is a square, but if you wanted to do something different, by all means, you could. So you'll hold down the corner of your mouse pad. Draw the square as large as you want it. I recommend 1x1 squares. They're big enough so you can easily see the image, but they're not so big that they're taking over the document and that you only get a few on there. So there's my square. And what you want to do is, because we want a plain background behind each square, so this is white, you're going to want to click the paint bucket and select transparent. Or you can select white, which is actually a better choice. And then you have your square. So to make more of these, just copy and paste. However you do that on your computer, I'm on a Mac, so it's Control C and then Command V. And you can do as many as you want. I would recommend doing, we're going to do just a few, just so you get the basic idea. Most core boards, they have an even number of squares. You could do them with an uneven number of squares, but I would recommend using, the same amount. Like I wouldn't present this with one line of squares and then a square by itself below, I'd definitely fill it out. So we're going to place our squares, and you can put as much space in between each of the squares as you like. I like to keep them close together. So once you have your boxes, then you can put in the typing or the writing. So you can see I have some I in it, etc. So I'm just going to fill in a few. To do this, you're going to click the text box. It's that square with the T inside of it. You're going to place the crosshatch wherever you want the text to appear. Click. You're going to get a large text box. So what you'll do is you'll type in whatever word you want. So I, and then you'll shrink the size of the box. So hold down on one of the squares on the side. I is a very small word, and I'm also going to shrink it here. And then move it to where you want it in the box. And then if you want to center it, which I would recommend, you can click on the three dots on the far right here, and you'll have the align tool. Click on the one that is centered, and then it will center the writing for you. So you can continue to do this. I'm just going to do a few. And in a later video, I'll be showing you how to use these core boards in a functional way. So we have want. And core boards, the words on core boards are words that we use on a daily basis, or high frequency words. So I, want, need, me, my, different things like that. So that's the purpose of core boards, to provide the user some very basic language so they can communicate basic needs and wants. And then we have fringe vocabulary, which I'll just put one on here. I'll make another square and I'll just put it below so you know what that is. So you could have a board with fringe words. Maybe you're doing a certain activity, like an art activity or a cooking activity. So a fringe word might be something like lemon. That's not a word you're using every day. It's very specific. Whereas want and I you're using on a daily basis, and most likely multiple times a day. So that's what a fringe word would be, any words that you're not using regularly. So certain pronouns, unless it's someone's name, if if it's a child that you're using this with, you might have your name or mom and dad. But certain things you're not going to use, like lemon, other foods. Those are all considered fringe or low frequency words. So once you have all of the text in each box that you want, you're going to now insert the pictures. So I tend to use cartoon sort of graphics. So you can see the stick figure is one, the stop sign is one, this emoji eating is one. And then others I created using the shape feature that we used previously to make the boxes. So in, out, it. I use different symbols in shapes to create those. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So there's a few ways to do this. You can click the image button, and there's different options from here. So upload, if you're making this for a student or someone and you have real pictures that you want to use, you can upload them from your computer here, and you can input them into this document by URL. So if you go to, if you go to Google, you search an image, and you copy and paste the URL, or if you're on a website and you like the image there and you have consent to use that image, then you can paste the URL here. Your albums. So if you use Google Drive to store your photos or Google Photos, then you could pull up photos from there. Google Drive. So I don't have any images here, but you can pull up images here if you did have some. And then finally, search. This is where I get most of my images. So you can go and open a separate Google tab if you wanted to, but this is so easy because you're still within Google Docs and you can search amongst Google. So if I want an image for eye, I can type in image for eye. So you're going to get some images that you're thinking, how did they come up with that? Like we have a banana, we have some cherries, you know, not exactly what we're looking for. So sometimes you're going to have to be creative. So I could write or type in rather, hand pointing to self. And so we have some images that maybe fit this better. I would pick images that can be used for multiple people. So I wouldn't necessarily want to pick this boy because this is only going to be relatable to a young boy, right? If I'm using this for a girl, that's not going to be relatable to her. Or if I'm using this for someone of a different race, this isn't going to be relatable to them. So I stick with either, you know, cartoon images or line drawings, or if they are real photographs or cartoons like this, making sure they match whoever you're giving this to. So maybe I'll do stick figure, and so let's see what happens. Okay, so maybe I like this one. So select your image that you like, click the select button. It's going to pop up. Make it the size that fits in the box that you've created. And remember, if it doesn't fit, you can always make it smaller. You can move around. That's kind of nice about this too, is that everything is movable. And what you'll see right now, you'll see that the top of the text box is above my white box, but that's fine. It'll still show up. So let me get my cartoon man here. Okay, so once you're happy with it, that's all you need to do. So again, you will search for pictures for each item that you want. So again, there's some images that, you know, maybe have the word want, but aren't exactly what you are looking for. So we have this US Army poster, this teapot that says, I want to believe, some other images. So one that might be good, and I'm just going to use this as an example, is this person reaching forward. So I'm just going to use this as an example. This wouldn't be one that I would select or use if I was making this for someone, but for the purposes of this tutorial, it's fine. So again, place this where you want. And some things are going to be a lot easier to find images of. So like a lemon, that's going to be pretty simple to find because everything that shows up is a lemon. So I'm just going to select this one. Whereas for I and want, you're going to have to think a little more about what kind of images would match with that. So if you're looking for inspiration, maybe you do the search within here and you're like, I can't find really what I'm looking for. I go to Google and what you can do is you can search core board and you'll see all kinds of things pop up. So you can see these are ones that other people made. They're very colorful. You could add colors to this one that you wanted instead of that white background that I selected or the fill color. You could make them different colors if you chose to do so. But what I like to do is I like to look at images, and I'm not going to screenshot, copy, or paste any of these, but these are just for inspiration. So maybe I like the look of this one, and maybe one of the symbols I am wanting to use is me, right? So if you type in me symbol, me icon, you might not see what you're looking for. But if you type in person pointing to themselves, you might get an image that looks like this. So you can get some different ideas, or ones that are maybe a little more abstract, like it. That's one where you might want to look for some inspiration for it. So on my example one, you can see some of these symbols I used shapes, it, in, out. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So let's do it. Just going to put a text box. Oops. And you can share this with others. You can edit it at any time. So that's nice about doing it in Google Docs as well. Whereas with other platforms, you might have to go in and start from scratch. So it. I'm going to use a box or square with an arrow pointing to it. So you'll go to shape, select your shape. I'm going to select this square. I'm going to shape it right within the square. So there's my box. And I'm going to leave the fill color blue because I want the student to be able to see it, or whoever I am using this with. And then for the arrow, I'm going to select arrows, and you can select any arrow you want because you can rotate the arrows after you've selected one. They don't necessarily have to stay, like if you chose this one pointing right, but you want to tilt it a little bit, you can easily do that. So I'm going to select left arrow, pop it here. I'm going to make it a little smaller so it fits better. And then to rotate it, you'll see this line with a blue dot on the top. You're going to click in the left corner and use your mouse pad to turn it. So now we have an arrow pointing to the box. So there's a variety of shapes, as you may have seen. We have all kinds of shapes here. Maybe you want to do happy, and you could do a smiley face. Maybe you want to do love. That's, you have a heart there. All different kinds of shapes. We have a variety of arrows. So some of these I use for in, out, put. We have some different sort of text boxes, if you will. So maybe you could use one of these for say or talk. And then I use the plus sign for more, but there's other symbols that you could use too. So what you'll do before you leave this window, make sure to save and close. And then it'll take a minute for it to load, but you have it here. So what you'll do if you want to edit this is you'll go back to let me see, not that. You'll go back to the insert drawing new, and you can repeat it here. Or you could save it to your drive to continue to use moving forward. But once you have your squares, and if you wanted to edit it, you could just copy the squares, copy and paste it into that drawing window, and then you can add new symbols, take away, change the pictures out, etc. And the other nice thing about Google Docs is that it automatically saves to Google Docs. So you can pull this up on any computer. If you share this with maybe teachers or a parent or anyone else, other professionals, you can share this with them, they can open it up, and it's never going to go away. And then if you wanted to save it to your computer, you just simply click File, Download, and then select how you like to download it. I would recommend PDF, especially if you're sharing it with families where maybe you don't want them to alter it because you're teaching those specific skills. But if you're sharing it with other professionals, you could share it as a doc or any of these other options. Totally up to you. So I hope this was helpful. This is a great way to create core boards to use with individuals that utilize AAC to communicate. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below. And before you leave, remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell for my next videos. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.